So in this video, really quick, I just kind of want to talk about how I've been able to really keep myself grounded in modern culture and also find continual happiness in my own life, especially when I ground myself and I center myself. So the first thing is that I created a new hobby. I started creating more content on TikTok just to kind of give it a try and just kind of see what it's like to be on this different platform and just checking out the engagement. But I also noticed that TikTok is definitely a platform that's more so about, you know, entertainment, so to speak. Like if people aren't really looking to, really be intellectually fed or to have critical or conscious conversations. So the commentary that I get, and I think just as someone who has tried so many different things, had so many different platforms, from my podcast to YouTube to all these different things, I have truly learned to just separate myself from people who say really mean things online, or people who, try to challenge you in a very negative or, aggressive kind of way. I feel like when it comes to being online, I think just with time, I've just developed thick skin. So that's one thing that I would say that's really grounded me. I think the other thing that's grounded me is also just kind of really being so clear about what it is that I want. When I look at my life, and I always do these assessments and I take a step back about this, when it comes to my desires and things like that, everything that I want, everything that I'm working towards, everything that I currently have is a byproduct of the work that I'm putting in my real life, right? This place where I live, the things that I'm into, it's all a byproduct of my personal experiences, right? From growing up, being a little girl, my mother buying me journals, reading my mother's books, being so good in language arts, eventually taking AP English, what I mean, to studying journalism. My life and everything that I'm about is where did that come from? You know what I mean? And so for me, it's I'm so centered in who I am and what I'm about that I feel very happy and a lot of contentment in my own life. The other thing I would say too is the more that I learn about the cost that is required to acquire certain things, you can make more well-informed decisions about what it is that you want. I think a lot of times people set out with certain aspirations and they don't understand what it's going to cost them. And so that in turn leads to misery. By overcoming external validation from people that I don't know and really centering myself on my own life, on my family, on the people that I love, I've found so much joy in just being authentic and being myself and being confident with what I have and where I'm at and learning new things and just really being alive and just kind of living it up to the fullest, And this isn't one of those things to say today is a good day, right? Because I am not without trouble, right? I am not without, issues in my life, but I've decided that the issues are never going to stop coming. And you really do have to just, as you get older, you just learn to not freak out about everything because it's really nothing you can do. There's so much that's going to happen in your life and you can only control what you can control. So I feel like I've definitely mastered that, especially getting older and having kind of lived through, a few seemingly crises. The other thing is when I talk about my goals and stuff, it's aligning it with my life. And when I look back on what I'm pursuing and why I'm pursuing it and how it is directly correlated to my personal experiences that have not been influenced by the media, but by God himself, me personally, that just grounds me. I feel very happy and very content in my life and the things that I'm doing because everything is so in alignment with what's real. You know what I mean? I'm not somebody who's doing something just because it's cool or because it's popular or because it's trendy or because, everything that I have, everything that I'm about, everything I'm pursuing is literally a byproduct of my experiences, from trial and error, from learning, from hardship to, just my own personal development and building blocks. And that's just something that really grounds me. So yeah, when I see other people's lives, I'm well aware that other people have had different advantages. I'm well aware that other people have, done different things and are, have made better decisions or have had different opportunities. But I just realized that that's life. You know what I mean? And even though I hear people talking about meritocracy, and I just ordered the book, The Myth of Meritocracy, so I look forward to learning a little bit more about the concept. And I understand that it is a very real thing and how it impacts us today. But I feel like just being a Black person, when we start having these conversations about mobility and, meritocracy, it's always going to just be very different. Like, and I hate when people today, on the internet more specifically, try to make it seem like, blackness in itself is exclusive, when every system, every institution, every study, right, every area of study is always excluding Black people. So it's like, I get so upset when people, especially this is something I find on TikTok, and that's why it's like I kind of hate the platform for that sense, because I feel like it's a lot of underdeveloped, but again, it is a platform for entertainment. It's not a platform to be on there learning things. But I always get upset when people are like, when I talk about those things, because it's just like, but it is though. Like our study has always been a very independent, very narrow study. It's never been like, okay, when we study things, we're going to study all things. No, this is a very peculiar population. This is a very particular people. This is a very peculiar culture. So with those things, always taking those things into consideration, my experiences, my Blackness, just, everything. It's like, I feel very blessed to be where I am in my life. And you look back over the hard things and the things that you've gone through, and it's just like, it all seems to pass and you're still standing at the end of the day. So I feel like I've developed mental resilience, and that's something I'm very proud of. So I think that's another thing that kind of helps me. But yeah, I think happiness is definitely kind of like this elusive thing. It's kind of like this childlike thing. I think you can have joy. I think there are moments of happiness, but I think happiness is really something you can manufacture. You know what I mean? A kid is happy when you take him to the park. You know what I mean? Go get ice cream. It's like a very basic, simple thing. And I think that's kind of like how you can be in your own life. Joy is definitely internal. I think joy is more of it's like a very profound sensation. It's like, it's throughout your body. You know what I mean? It's very spiritual, I think joy is. So yeah, those are the things that ground me. Like, look at your life experiences. Stay in alignment with that. You know what I mean? When you start to veer and you're trying to, live the lifestyle of the rich and famous, right? The entertainers, the influencers, the people who live in Miami, and you're in freaking Idaho or Kentucky, like, it just doesn't really make sense. Like, you don't even have those resources, right? I went to LA, and I'll never forget this. I tell this story all the time. Being in LA and just seeing the resources that people in LA have, it's not even the same versus where I'm at. Like, honestly, it's giving, like, the way I'm living versus how they're living is giving poverty. Like, seriously, in contrast, so if you are somebody who's struggling with that, you got to get on your path. Like, you have to get on your path, get out of the way, and stop trying to pursue what other people are pursuing. I see friends of like NFL players trying to keep up with the NFL player. That's not your lifestyle. Like, that's not what that is. You know what I mean? Like, your outcome is never going to look like that. You see what I'm saying? And I think that that's what people have to understand. And like, the thing about aspiration is that it's good. Aspiration is not always bad, but you guys have to understand people are different. Your experience is different. And the problem is, I think the reason why we have such a happiness crisis is because people are detaching themselves and disassociating from their experiences. Those are the things that make you unique. It's really hard to chart a path or figure out where you want to go or where you want to be when you're disassociating from everything that's in front of you. Like, it's like being in an escape room, or it's like walking into something and you have no idea the context. You have no idea the past. Like, you have no idea. You're just here. And it's like, you're just trying to follow somebody else's story. And it's like, that's not your story. That's not your reality. So it's going to be really hard for you to be happy and get on the path with, you know what I mean? And I was thinking about this too, because we were talking about luxury in terms of like what it means, to have a very luxurious lifestyle and how that's the standard and how a certain type of aesthetic has become normalized. It's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's like, does that aesthetic fit your life? Right. And I'm gonna use this as an example. Like, let's say, for example, you work in healthcare. Does it really make sense for you to show up every day looking like Cardi B? Does it make sense for you to show up every day in your everyday corporate profession when you're working with professionals and you're on the front lines, whether you're a receptionist or whatever the case may be? Does it really make sense for you to present yourself in such a way that you mirror the aesthetics of the rich and famous, of the current influencers of today? Does that make sense? No, it does not. Like, that doesn't make sense for your lifestyle. So you have to be in tune with yourself. You have to be in tune with your reality. And, if you don't like your reality, then you have to figure out what are the things that you want to do. What are the things you've always wanted to do? You know what I mean? And for a lot of people, I can't speak to everybody's story, because let me just say that too. I think everybody's stuff is different. But I think what happens when we have a normalization of like standard ways of living, people think if they don't meet that standard, then you're incompetent or you're not capable. I'll give for example, I am a writer. Where I'm at in my life right now, it makes sense, right? That's about what I was expecting to be, where I was expecting to be, what I was expecting to have as a writer, right? I chose that for myself. It wouldn't make any sense for me to have a certain type of lifestyle or anything like that, and I'm a writer. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And so I say that to say, it's just important for you guys to just know where you are in your life, know what you're about, okay? And be grateful for the outcomes. Like, just because I don't have a certain type of things, or I don't have, certain type of lifestyle, it does not mean that I am less than. It does not mean that I am not competent. It does not mean that I am not capable. It just means that I'm not in that area, in that arena that would produce said results. But it doesn't mean I'm not happy. It doesn't mean I'm not content. It doesn't mean I'm not successful. Do you see what I'm saying? To me, being a writer was everything. I wanted to be a writer. And the fact that I can confidently say at the end of my life, I pursued my dream, that's why I'm happy.